Yeah, good evening, guys. Welcome to the class. Today's session, we'll discuss leftover things corresponding to strings concept, and we'll discuss one more new. Yeah, good guys. Initially, I'll open a Google Collaboratory. Yeah, I'm opening Google Collaboratory first. So it's loading a little bit slowly. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, just wait wait for a few minutes, guys. Sorry for the interruption, guys. I'll start the session now. Okay, good. So here yesterday we did not go through these functions. So here initially what I'll do is before doing this thing here, I'll define one string. Yeah, please everyone keep your microphones in mute mode. Or else Neeraj, keep everyone in a mute mode. Apart from me, keep everyone in a mute mode. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good. So now what I want to do is I want to define a string here. So here I'll define string like hi, hello. Welcome to all for new concept. Let's suppose I'm defining string like this. Yeah, we'll get an error here. We did not define it properly. We're good. Now here, yeah, here it is a string. So initially it will connect with the Google Cloud. So here it is asking me to connect without GPU. Yes, I'm connecting without GPU. It's connecting. Initializing. Now it's connected with the Google server. Now here, previously to perform slicing, what we did, we accessed the specific portion of the string dynamically. Like we counted the indexes of these values manually. After counting the indexes manually, we performed slicing. But every time if you perform slicing on that way, let's suppose whatever the string we took, that is a single line string. But every time we won't be have a single line strings. We might have one passage. From that passage, we need to perform slicing. At that time, if you want to perform slicing, here we'll be having index and find methods. The purpose of this index and find methods are to know the index of any specific character. Let's suppose from this string, I want to access from this T onward to all for new concept. Here I want to access from this T onwards. So initially to perform slicing, we need to know the index of character T. So here I'm specifying character T here. So whenever you specify character T here, it will give the index of this character T. So it is presented 18th index. Simply we can say now S of 18 colon. So that will get an output from this T to end of the string. From this character to till end of the string, we'll get an output. Or else simply, let's suppose now my requirement is I want to print the output from this H onwards. So I want to print an output, hello, welcome to all for a new concept. So for that, everyone rename your ID numbers. Okay, good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, good. Now here, what I'm doing is, now my requirement is I want to perform slicing from this character H onwards. So for that, let's suppose I'll try with the character H. s dot index of character h. See here, guys, you need to observe this thing keenly. See here, the first character will be h. So here, whenever you search any character by using index method, it will start searching from a starting index. Wherever that character occurs for the first time, directly it will give index of that character. So here we are getting index of this h, but we need to get an index of this h. To get an index of this character, here we'll be having r index method. So the purpose of this r index method is to know the index of any character from right side onwards, that is from back side onwards. So here if you say character h, now from the back side onwards, it will search for the character h. From the back side onwards, the character h occurs at this location, that is presented fourth index. Now we got this thing. So here from this thing onwards, I want to perform slicing. So simply we can do like this also. S of colon. See guys, S of R index of H means it is giving integer value only. It means here we are specifying 4 only. 4 colon means from the fourth index onwards, we are accessing all the characters. Now here I want to look at the content present in S. So here I want to check how many E is present in it. Okay, good. Now my requirement is I want to print output from this E onwards. I want to print output from this E onwards. So here, let's suppose if you use index method. What happens if you use index method? So if you say index of E, for the first time, this character E occurs at this location. But here I want to print from this E onwards. So let's suppose if you apply R index, what happens? We'll see what happens if you apply R index. So here R index of, here I'll say character E. So whenever you say R index of E, it is searching for the character from backside on. So here it is giving this character index. So here basic index method starts from left side onwards. It will give the character which occurs for the first time. R index means it will search from the last side onwards. Wherever this character occurs from last side, it will give index of that character. But here my requirement is I want to access from this E onwards. I want to know the index of this E. So for that, what we need to do is on such cases, if the character is repeated for the multiple times, on such cases, what we need to do is simply we need to say is that index of, we need to specify that specific word. So here I want to know the index of this specific word. So if you want to know the index of the specific word, it will give the index of first character present in this word. Here, whenever the specific character repeated for the multiple times, from which word onwards you want to access, you can specify that word so that you will get an index of first character present on that word. So here in this welcome, the E character E's index will be 11. We got an index of that character. Remember guys, it's about index method. Similarly, what happens if you specify the character which is not present in a string? In this string, we are not having character Z, but now I am specifying character Z. So whenever you specify the character which is not present in a string in this index method, it will give substring not found error. It will give substring not found error. So at that time here, in place of index, we can use find method. So if we use find method to know the index of any character, if that character is not present, it will give -1 as an output. It won't throw the error like this index method. If the character is not present in the string, it will give you an output like -1. Whereas in the remaining cases, find and index both work similarly. Let's suppose if you say find of lcom. So here it is also give same value. It is also giving 11. Let's suppose if you say s dot find of character E. So it will also work similarly. Similarly, s dot r find also, we are having r find method also to check the index from right side onwards. Okay. So remember guys, coming to the difference between find and index is if the character not present in the string, if you apply index method, it will give you an error like substring not found. Whereas in the same place, if you apply find method, it won't throw the error. In place of error, it will give -1 as an output. That is the difference between find and index method. After that, we'll be having split method. So in the string, we'll be having content like hello, hi, welcome to our for new concept. So here on this string, I want to apply split method. So guys, whenever you apply split method on the string, By default, it will split the string based on the spaces. If you don't specify any separator, by default, it will split the words based on the spaces. So wherever the space occurs, it will consider that one as an unique word. And remember, guys, till now we did not discuss the concept called list. But here, whenever you apply split function on the string, it will give output in the form of list. So here, whenever you say s dot split, here it will give output in the form of list. Here, it will give output in the form of list. In the list, if you observe here, after hi, we got a first space. So here it is considering as a first word. After that, here next space occurred after hello. Here hello will be the next word. Next space will be occurred at the after welcome. So here you're getting welcome. Like that, wherever space occurs, with the space, it will separate by default. So to make you familiar with this thing perfectly, I'll take today's date. Today's date is 26/4/2021, I think. So by taking this date, now what I want to do is I want to apply split method. I want to apply split method on this data. After that, here I want to specify the separator. So here I want to separate these values based on a hyphen. Wherever the hyphen occurs, there I want to perform splitting. So whatever the separator you want to specify, you can specify that separator in the split method. So here, whatever the separator you'll specify, that will be come up in an output. So here 26/04/2021. Here, based on a hyphen, we are splitting now. Now what I want to do is I want to store this result in one variable. Yeah, here I'm saying in this thing in a variable E. Now I want to look at the content present in E. So here we can perform customized splitting also. Customized splitting means how many times you want to perform splitting, we can perform that thing also. So here, whenever character hyphen occurs, I want to perform splitting for only one time. I want to perform splitting for only one time. So for that, here I'm saying like this. So it will start searching for the character hyphen from starting onwards. Wherever this character occurs, it will perform slicing for only one time, splitting for only one time. Here it is splitting for one time, and remaining entire portion will be considered as another part. Similarly, we can perform this splitting from left side also. So for that, we'll be having R split method. In this, we need to specify separator first. I want to separate with a hyphen. And from the backside onwards, I want to separate with the hyphen for only one time. So here it is an output. From backside onwards, I'm checking for this hyphen. Wherever this hyphen occurs, I'm performing splitting only for one time. So here it is one part, it is an another part. It's about split function. Now, in the E, we'll be having output like this. Now, my requirement is I want to join all the parameters present in this list. I want to join all the parameters present in a list. To join the parameters here, with whatever the character you want to join, you can specify that character. I want to join each and every character with a slash. After that, here we'll be having join method. In this join method, whatever the list attributes you want to join, you can specify that thing. So here I'm specifying join of E. So whenever you specify join of E, here you can see 26/4/2021. So I joined all these attributes with a slash. Not only this slash, you can specify any separator, guys. So whatever the favorite separator you have, you can specify that separator. Now I want to specify separator like two dots. Dot join of, I want to join all the attributes present in E. Like that, whatever the separator you want to keep, you can keep that separator. There is no restriction. The purpose of join method is to join the attributes present in a list by using specific character. Okay, that is the purpose of join method. So it's about string functions, guys. And coming to today's session, we'll start a new concept, that is control structures. Next concept is control structures. Coming to control structures, it is divided into three different parts. First one is a conditional statements. First one is conditional statements. After this, we'll be having loops concepts. After this, we'll be having loop transfer statements. Loop transfer statements. These are the different control structures present in Python. So here coming to the loops, as you're already familiar with it, we'll be having if and while loop, sorry, for and while loops. And coming to the loop transfer statements, here we'll be having statements like break, continue, pause. And whereas coming to this conditional statements, coming to today's class, we'll discuss conditional statements. Coming to this conditional statements, here we'll be having few conditional statements. Those are, first one is an if conditional statement. After that, we'll be having if else. After that, we'll be having if else. After that, we'll be having if ladder, or special case if. It is also said as special case if. After that, we'll be having nested if else. Next, we'll be having nested if else. These are the different conditional structures present in Python. These are the different conditional structures present in Python. So here in today's session, we'll discuss these things very briefly. So guys, whatever the data structure it might be, whatever the thing it might be, if you are familiar with the syntax, you can play with it. So here, for that, we'll see one by one. So first we'll start with the if condition. First we'll start with an if condition and its syntax. If condition syntax, we'll see first. Coming to the syntax of if condition, yeah, we'll create a text block so that it will be very convenient to us. Yeah, here syntax of if syntax. Simply I'll write if syntax. To write the syntax of if, here first we need to use if keyword. So if is a keyword which is used to write any condition. After specifying if keyword, we need to specify condition. We need to specify condition. After specifying the condition, here in the Python, indent is very important. Indentation plays a crucial role. In the C language, we'll be keep flower brackets, right? Like flower brackets, here indent plays a crucial role. So whenever you keep indent, by default, one tab space will be created in the program. If you are writing statement inside the tab with the tab distance, means that is the statement belongs to this block. So here I'm writing some statement. Or here you can write multiple statements also. I'll show you this thing briefly by taking example so that you will understand this thing briefly. Okay. After that, if you write any statement out of this indent, so here let's suppose if you write some statement here, it means it is a statement which is not present in the conditional block. Remember guys, here first we need to use if keyword. After that, whatever the condition you want to specify, you can specify that condition. After that, we need to keep colon. It is said as indent. Whenever you keep colon and click on enter button, by default one tab space will be created. If some statement coming with this tab distance, means it is a statement which is present in this block, or else if you are writing some statement equals to this if, means that is a statement which is present in the conditional block. That is the meaning of it. Okay, I'm running this portion. Here it is the syntax of it. Now we'll see the program. Yeah, we'll see the program. I want to check whether the number is even or not. So here, even or not. I want to check. I want to write a program to detect whether the given number is even or not. So here to check whether the given number is even or not, we need to take user defined input, and I want to take that user defined input in the form of integer. So here I'm taking one user defined input. After taking this user defined input, now here I want to apply if condition. So here I'm applying if condition. So what is the condition for even number? If the number is divisible with 2, that is said as even number. It means if we divide number with 2, if it gives remainder as 0. If we divide number with 2, if it gives remainder as 0, such kind of numbers are said as even numbers. So whenever this condition satisfies, we need to enter into this conditional block. While entering into this conditional block, we need to print output like, we need to display the value of A. After that, in the comments, we need to display is even. I want to display output like is even. Okay, I'm running this portion. It's asking me to enter a value. Let's suppose initially I'm giving 13. Here it is giving output like. So here initially, whenever you give user defined input, initially it is checking this condition. If this condition is satisfied, it will print this one as an output. It will enter into this block, and whatever the statement present in this block, that will be come up in an output. That is about conditional block. But here, if you execute this portion again, if you give any odd number, here it won't give any output. It means we are not getting whether it is executed or not perfectly. To understand whether the program is executed successfully or not, for that, we can keep an optional block. Here, at the end of this code, we can keep an optional block also. But here, if you observe clearly, I'm writing this block out of this condition. If you are writing some statement equals to this if means it is a statement which is present out of this condition. Okay, here I'm writing this thing for status purpose. Here I'm writing like executed successfully. To know the status of the program, I'm writing this stuff. Now I will give some odd number like 17 I'm giving. So whenever you give some odd number, what it is giving? It's giving output like executed successfully. See here, if this condition is fails, it won't enter into this block. If this condition is true, then only it will enter into this block and it will give this one as an output. That is about this thing. So after this, here what I'll do is, here I'll explain you the structure of if else. So to make you familiar with the if else condition, here I'll write syntax directly. So here I'll write the syntax of if else. So coming to the syntax of if else, here first we need to specify if keyword. After that, here we need to specify the condition. After that, here by default tab distance will be created. After this tab, whatever the statement you want to write, you can write statement or statements here. After this, here we need to specify else keyword. See, remember guys, else keyword won't have any condition. Why means here it is said as a complementary block. It is said as complementary block, guys. See here, if this condition is true, it will execute the portion present in this if block. Whereas if this condition is fails, obviously it goes to the else block and it will execute the statements present in this else block. Obviously, it goes to the else block and it will execute the statement present in the else block. Okay, that is the working of this if else conditional block. See, if condition, if this condition is satisfied, this portion will be come up in an output. If this condition is fails, obviously it will execute an else block. After this, here also, if you want to write something for status purpose, you can write that thing statement. But here it is not a mandatory statement. It's an optional statement only. It's an optional statement only. Okay, it's about if else. Okay, now we'll see the program with this if else condition. Now the program will be if it is an even or odd. So we need to check whether the program number is even or odd. We need to detect whether the given number is even or odd. To do that thing, what we need to do here, initially I'll copy paste same program till here. First, we need to check. We need to take user defined input. First, we need to take user defined input. After taking user defined input, we need to check this condition. If it is dividing with 2, that is an even number. Else, if it is not satisfying, we need to write else keyword. See, remember guys, here I'm strictly following indent. I'm giving this tab distance. By default, you will get data, but if you won't follow this indent, you will get an indentation error. You should be very cautious with the indentation error in Python. Okay, so here after the else, I'm clicking on enter button. So here I'm writing text like print a comma text I want to display like is an odd number. Okay, I'm giving this one as an see. I want to display this one as a text. Now for the status purpose, if you want to keep anything, you can keep that thing equals to this if or else. See here, I'm writing statement like here. I want to print some statement like executed successfully. Here I want to print a statement like executed successfully. Okay, so here if you won't keep this statement also, you won't get any error, guys. Okay, now here I want to execute this portion. Okay, done. So here I want to enter value of a first. Here let's suppose I'm giving value like 32. Whenever you give 32, here initially it will check this condition. If this condition is true, it will execute, it will give this one as an output. Whereas here coming to 32, this condition is satisfied. We are getting this one as an output. After this, if we execute this portion again, if you keep any odd number, if you give any odd number like 59, let's suppose I'm giving. So whenever you give some odd number, it is giving output like 59 is an odd number. It's giving output like it is an odd number. And irrespective of this output, always you will get this statement as an output. Why means it is a statement which is not belongs to any conditional block. It is present out of all the conditions. That's why this will always comes in an output. See here, initially it will check this condition. If this condition is true, this one will be appeared in an output. If this condition is fails, obviously it will execute this portion as an output. Irrespective of this code, this statement will be executed always. That is, executed successfully statement will be executed always. It is about if else condition, guys. Okay, it's about if else condition. Okay, so after this here, what I'll do is, yeah, good. Here I'll explain you one more syntax, that is if, elif, else. Here I'm writing condition like if, elif, else. So if you consider this if, elif, else, initially we'll see the syntax. So here initially we need to specify if condition, sorry, if keyword. After that we need to specify a condition. Condition 1 here I'm saying. After that we need to keep an indent. After this indent we need to write a statement. Here we need to write a statement or statements. After this, here we need to specify elif. See guys, you might be familiar with the else if in a C language or Java. In place of else if in the Python, we'll use elif. In place of else if, we'll use elif. So after this elif, here we need to specify next condition. Here I'm specifying condition 2, indent. After that, whatever the statement you want to specify, you can specify that statement. After that, here we'll be having elif again. Here I'm saying condition 3. Here again statement. Like that, based on your requirement, here you can keep n number of elif blocks. You can keep n number of elif blocks. Finally, here we need to specify else block. And here we need to specify a statement or statements. See, remember guys, it's a very important thing. See, first here our model will check this condition. So here coming to this syntax, first it will check this condition. If this condition is satisfied, it will give this one as an output, this statement as an output. It won't check remaining condition. If this condition is satisfied, it won't check next condition. It will give this one as an output. If this condition is fails, then only it will check this condition. Okay. While checking this condition, if it is true, it will give this statement as an output. Whereas if this condition also fails, here, it will check this condition. If it is true, it will give this one as an output. If it is also fails, it will check next condition. Like that, if some condition is fails, then only it will proceed to the next condition. If all the conditions are fails, it will give the output corresponding to this else block. It is about if, elif, else, guys. Okay. Now we'll see the program to make you familiar with this conditional block. And here I'll give you a basic example also. Yeah, good. So here the question will be, if you give character A as an input, you need to get an output like apple. If you give character as B, here you need to get an output like bat. If you give character C as an input, you need to get an output like cricket. If you give character D as an input, yeah, you need to get an output like donkey. Else, if you won't enter the characters in the range of A to D, it needs to give output like please choose a character in the range of A to D. Please choose a character in the range of A to D. You need to get that thing in an output. So for that, here what we need to do, as initially we need to take user defined input, and that input should be a string. Enter character. See here, we are not having different data types like int string and character in a Python, both are same only coming to Python. So here I'm saying enter character. Okay. So after taking user defined input as a character, first I want to check first if condition. That is, if a equals to character a, whatever the user defined input you are taking, if it is equals to character a, here we need to print output like apple. Here we need to print output like apple. After this, if it is not equals to apple, we need to check next condition. That is, if a equals to character b or not. If it is character b, next here I want to print output like bat. Yeah, I want to print output like bat. So after that, here what I'll do is, here I'll say if a equals to c. If it is not equals to character b, we need to check next condition. That is, if it is equals to c or not. If it is equals to c, we need to print output like cricket. We need to print output like cricket. If it is not equals to character d even, sorry, c even. So here we'll say a equals to character d. If it is character equals to d, here we need to print output like donkey. So if your character not present in this A to D, finally it needs to go for else block. If all these conditions are fails, it needs to goes to else block. While going to this else block, it needs to give output like, please enter a valid character. Please enter a valid character. Okay, it is the basic program. Now I'm executing this program, and initially I'll give character A as an input. So coming to this character A, so here this condition is true. It's giving apple as an input. Again, I want to execute this program. Now I want to give C as an input. So whenever you give C as an input, first it will check this condition. This will be fails, so that it will go to the next condition. This will also fails. It will go to the next condition. It will check this condition. This condition will be satisfied. Whenever this condition satisfied, you'll get an output which is present in this conditional block. That is the thing happening here. Now, what I'll do is I'll enter a character which is not present in it. Let's suppose if we give character F. So here it is a character which is not present in it. That's why here you are getting output like, please enter a valid character. Now, I want to improve this program. Let's suppose if you give input like character capital A. So again, it is giving output like, please enter a valid character. See, remember guys, Python is a case sensitive programming language. Means capital A and small a, both are not same. That is about case sensitivity. There is a different meaning for small case letter as well as capital letter. Now what I want to do is, I want to improve this program in such a way that whether if you give character small a or capital A, it needs to give output like apple. If you give either capital B or small b, it needs to give output like bat. Either it is a small c or capital C, it needs to give output like cricket. So for that, here we need to use logical operator. First, if it is equals to character small a or capital A, if any one of these two conditions is satisfied, we need to print output like apple. After that, here are a equals to character capital B. After that, here also we need to add or a equals to character capital C. Here also I want to do same thing, or a equals to character capital D. Okay, now I'll execute this program. Now I'll give input like character capital D. So whenever you give either small d or capital D, it will give donkey as an output. It's about the very basic example. Now here I'll give one more assignment program to you. Yeah, your basic assignment task will be take user defined input. Take user defined input as an integer. Okay, if you give input like 1, it needs to give output like ONE1. If you give output input like 2, it needs to give output like TWO2. If you give input like 3, it needs to give output like THREE3. till 9 you want to get an output. So if you enter 9, you'll get an output like 9. So if you give any 2-digit number, if you give any 2-digit number, it needs to give output like please enter only 1 digit. Only 1 digit. Okay. It is a thing, it is a basic assignment to you, or try to practice it. It's for your practice purpose only. Okay. So coming to the next thing, here we'll be having if ladder. Next thing will be if ladder, or in some books it will be said as special case if also. So coming to the if ladder, it's a very easy thing, guys. Coming to this if ladder, what we are doing, if this condition is true, we are printing this one only. If this condition is satisfied, you're not checking remaining conditions. But now my requirement is I want to check multiple conditions in a program. I want to check multiple conditions in a program. To check multiple conditions in a program, we need to take help of if ladder. So here, if first we need to specify condition 1. After that, we need to specify statement corresponding to this condition. Statement or statements corresponding to this. After that, again, we need to specify one more condition, that is condition 2, and here statement. So here again, if you want to keep any if condition, you can keep that if condition also, condition 3 colon statement. Like that, you can keep n number of if conditions. So here I'm saying if condition n. Okay, and here you can see the statement n also. Okay, it is the syntax of if else. Sorry, if ladder. So coming to this if ladder, it is different than if else. So here coming to this if ladder, irrespective of previous condition, it will check next conditions also. It means in the program, it will check all the conditions. If your requirement is to check all the conditions at the time, we need to use if ladder. To make you familiar with it, I'll take one basic program. In this basic program, what I want to do is I want to take one user defined input. After taking one user defined input, I want to check whether it is divisible with 5, 7, or 9. I want to check whether it is divisible with any one of these 3 numbers or not. So for that, initially we need to take user defined input in the form of integer. Here I'm saying int of input of enter a. Okay. After entering a value, here initially I want to check whether it is divisible with 5 or not. Remember how to check whether the number is divisible with 5 or not? If you divide some number with 5, if it gives remainder as 0, that is nothing but that is divisible with 5. So here I'm saying that one. Sorry, here. Yeah, if a percentile 5 is equals to 0. It means if we divide some number with 5, if it gives remainder as 0, that means it is divisible with 5. So here simply we can say print a comma is divisible with 5. Now I'll copy paste this portion again. I want to copy paste this thing for 2 more times. Okay. Good. Now second condition is we need to check whether it is divisible with 7 or not. If it is divisible with 7, here we need to display it is divisible with 7. Again, I want to check whether it is divisible with 9 or not. If we divide some number with 9, if it gives remainder as 0, that is divisible with 9. Now, if you observe the output, here you can see, here I'm giving input like 45. So coming to the 45, yes, it is divisible with 5. And here it is not divisible with 7. So it won't be appeared in an output. Again, this 45 also divisible with 9. If how many conditions are satisfying here, that many statements are coming in an output. So irrespective of previous condition, it is checking next conditions also. That is about if ladder. So here you can take any number of if conditions based on your requirement. So now the next thing will be, here we'll be having nested if else. Here we'll be having nested if else. So coming to this nested if else, here the structure will be different, guys, and syntax also will be different. So here we'll be having nested block in a if condition, or you might be having nested block in an else condition. It depends. Okay, we won't have standard syntax for this thing. Based on your requirement, you can keep nested block anywhere. So initially you need to understand what is nested condition. See guys, in place of statement, if you write one more condition in place of conditional block, sorry, in place of statement, if you write one more condition, that is said as nested condition. So to make you understand this thing, guys, here I'll explain you a basic syntax. Here I'm saying if condition. Yeah, initially I'll say if condition. After this, here I'll specify statement. Now I will go to the else block. While going to this else block, here what I'll do is, in place of statement, here I'll write one more condition. So here it is a nested block. In place of statement, here I'm writing one more condition. Here I'm saying condition 2. After that, here I'll write the statement corresponding to this nested block. Statement corresponding to this nested block. Here I'll keep else block for it. Here I'll keep else of statement. Here I'll keep else block. Okay, it is about nested if else. See here, in place of statement, here I'm writing few more conditions. That's why it is said as a nested if else. So here, based on your requirement, you can keep this nested block here also. You can keep this nested block here also. It depends on problem statement, guys. It's not a standard one. Based on problem statement, it will be altered. Okay. Now here, what I'll do is I'll take one example. In this example, what I want to do is I want to take one user defined input. I want to take one user defined input. If input is even, if input is even, what I want to do is I want to square it. I want to square it. If input is odd and multiple of 5. If it is odd and multiple of 5, we need to cube it. We need to cube it. If it is odd, next, if it is odd and non-multiple of 5. If it is odd and non-multiple of 5, we need to multiply with 10. Multiply with 10. So these are the different conditions I'm giving to you. Multiply with 10. So now I'll implement this program, guys. To implement this program, what I will do is here I'll say if, sorry, yeah, initially we need to take user defined input, right? Here I'll say a equals to int of input of, here I'll say enter a. Here I'm taking input like a. So after this, here I'll say if a percentile 2 is equals to 0. It means if it is divisible with 2, that means it is an even number. If it is an even number, we need to square this number. We need to square this number. To square this number, here the thing will be, here I'll say a star 2. See here equals to, I want to print this thing as it is. After that, here I'll say a square. Okay, it's about first if condition. If it is divisible with 2 or if it is an even number, we need to square that number. After that, elif. Coming to the, sorry, not elif. Here we need to keep else condition. In this else condition, what I'll do is, here in this else condition, here I'll say, I want to check, see here. Why, if you are entering in an else block means that is obviously an odd number. If you are in else block means that is obviously an odd number. If it is an odd number, we need to check this condition, whether it is multiple of 5 or not. We need to check whether it is multiple of 5 or not. To check this condition, here I'll say, in place of this statement, here I'm writing one more condition, a percentile 5 equals to 0. Okay, if this condition is satisfied, here we need to print output like, what we need to do, we need to square that number, right? Cube that number, sorry. Yeah, here I'm saying a cube equals to, comma, we need to cube that number. Okay, we need to cube that number. So here I'm saying a cube. Okay, after this, here we'll be having else block. So coming to this else block, here we'll be having, I want to print. See here, first condition is if it is an even, we need to square it. Yes, we squared it. If it is not an even, means it is obviously an odd number. If it is an odd number, we need to check whether it is multiple of 5 or not. Here we are checking that. If it is a multiple of 5, here we need to cube that number. So here, if condition is fails, means it is not an odd number. Means, sorry, it is not a multiple of 5. If you are in else block, means it is obviously an odd number. And if it is not multiple of 5, means it is obviously non-multiple of 5. If this condition is satisfied, we need to multiply the number with 10. And yeah, we need to display output like a into 10. So try to do same thing by using dynamic printing. Like try to display output like, if you give input like, let's suppose, yeah, if you give input like, or let's suppose if you give input like 14, it is an even number, right? So here we got output like a square equals to 196. But I want to get output like, here I want to get output like 14 square equals to 196. I want to get output like that, or take it as a small assignment. Okay, see, simple. Try to do same thing by using dynamic printing approach. For your practice only, I'm giving this example. Now, what I will do is I want to implement a basic calculator. How to implement a basic calculator by using, how to implement a basic calculator by using conditional statement. We'll see that small program to make you familiar with this concept clearly. So for this, what I want to do is, initially I want to take one user defined input, sorry, two user defined inputs. I want to perform operation between two user defined input. For that, here I'll take two integers. So first one input, first input, enter input 1. Similarly, I want to take one more user defined input, that is one more number, enter input of, here I want to take one more input, here I'll say enter input 2. Here I'm taking two user defined inputs. After taking two user defined inputs, here what I will do is simply I want to choose my choice. For that, here I'll say CH, that is my choice. So I want to take my choice as a string. I want to take my choice as a string. Enter the operation. Enter the operation. So here what I'll do, guys, see here simply what I'll do is, see here I'll say if your choice is equals to add, or if your choice equals to addition, add or addition, or if your choice is equals to less symbol. If any one of these three things you specify in an input, it needs to give output like print. So here I'll use a dynamic printing approach. So here in the first bracket, it needs to display a value. Sorry guys. Yeah. Here it needs to display a value. After that, we need to get plus symbol. After that, here we need to get b value in this bracket. Here finally we need to get output like a plus b. We need to get in an output. So here we need to close. So here I'm using format specifier approach, guys. Similarly, if your user defined input is elif, here I'm using elif. So here I'll say if choice equals to sub, sorry, choice equals to sub, or choice equals to subtract, or choice equals to minus symbol. If you specify any of these characters, here it needs to perform subtraction operation. Simply I'll copy paste same thing. And here I'll modify symbol minus symbol. After that, here I will specify operation also a minus b only. Okay. Now simply if you say elif a equals to mul or a equals to multiply or a equals to into symbol. If you specify any of these things, here you need to get an output like, sorry, I'll copy the same thing. And here I'll modify this symbol. See guys, I'll perform with these three operations only. Okay, you can add that power operation as well as you can add that division operations as well if it is required or if you want to check it. Finally, here I'll specify like else. So here I'll display a statement like print so here I want to display output like please choose a valid input or please enter a valid input. We can say anything. Now I will execute this program. While executing this program, here it is initially asking a value. I'm giving 13, b value I'm giving like 67. After that, it is asking me to enter the operation. I'm entering add. So whenever you enter add operation, it will perform addition between both the numbers and it is giving the result. Again, I'll execute this program. Now here simply I'll give minus symbol. It's giving an error. It's giving an error. Oh shit. Initially, we need to take user defined inputs, right? We need to give two integer numbers first. Okay. Initially, we need to give first number that is 34. I'm giving second number as 12. After that, I want to choose operation like minus. So whenever you choose operation like minus, here it is performing subtraction operation. It's a basic calculator, guys. In this, you can add few more things. Like you can add power operator that is for squaring operation, and you can add division operations as well. And you can perform modulo division as operation as well. Based on your requirement, you can add any operation. Okay. So guys, with this, I want to conclude for today. If you have any questions, let me know. You can ask me now. No questions? Okay, thank you guys. With this, I'm concluding for today. Someone is asked the question like, sir, F is mandatory in print statement. No, it's not mandatory. I want to display the result in a format specifier approach. For that, I specified character F. So once go through the basic video that is input and output statements video. On that I specified, I explained everything clearly so that you will get a more knowledge on it. Okay, then guys, I'm concluding with it for today. If you have any questions, you can post in your groups so that I'll respond to you. Okay, and try to practice each and everything and try to grab a lot of examples from different websites. So for Python, the best websites are, first one is a Java tutorial point. There you will get a lot of theory content. As if you don't have enough time, don't follow that thing. If you want to recap the basics, the best platforms are W3 School and Solo Learn platform. After that, we'll be having one more thing like a copyassignment.com. So copyassignment.com is the best website. Okay, you can follow any of these websites to refer the basics and try to take questions from W3 resource. So in the W3 resource, you'll get a lot of additional assignment questions. You can take those questions, but don't follow the solutions present there. There he specified the solutions in a clumsy manner. He did not specify solutions in an easy way. So please try to solve the questions on your own. They are very easy questions. You can do all those questions on your own. Okay. W3 resource. There you will get a lot of questions. Okay, try to practice those questions to recall your basics, to become a expert in basics. After that, after learning entire core Python, go with the best platforms like Geeks for Geeks platform, Hacker Rank platform. Try to practice Code Chef. On such kind of platforms you can practice, so that it can build your career towards IT sector. Okay, thank you guys. With this I'm concluding for today.